hanging, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital MV, my GH After Show. Let's get right into it, starting with Ava Jerome. Now, Ava goes to the PCPD to try and kill Griffin, and of course Ryan and Julian show up to stop her, and the three of them, Griffin included, cover her ass so that she doesn't go to jail for trying to kill Griffin in the first place. You see that? Despite the fact that Ava did so much dirty things to him, Griffin is still nice enough to cover for her ass because he does not want her to go to jail while she is grieving Kiki. And this is the guy that the PCPD has pegged for Kiki's killer. Are you kidding me? Thank God for Curtis, because he gave the PCPD a new angle. A completely wrong angle, but a new angle nonetheless, because Ava is now a suspect due to the fact that she's gone after Kiki and Griffin in some pretty disturbing ways. The PCPD learned that Ava went after Kiki and Griffin by drugging Sasha, knocking Griffin out, and putting them in bed together so that Kiki and Griffin could break up. So that is pretty morbid, but it's not, murder. Thankfully, another angle came up when they found Kiki's wallet without her license inside the wallet. So this happened with Mary Pat, so they're starting to connect those murders together. If you guys recall, a few weeks back, we saw that Ryan has all the government IDs of all of his previous victims. I'm not sure how, because he's been in Ferncliff for God knows how long, and also, they never found those things in the first place from Ryan the first time around, but he has them still. Furthermore, I feel like this is a new plot device because I don't recall personally Ryan collecting his victims' IDs back in the 90s. I mean, obviously I wasn't watching back then. I'm just going by the clips that I've seen on YouTube and hearsay and summaries, but I don't think that was a thing back then. So it's kind of lazy, but whatever. Personally, I feel like Laura will solve this crime long before the PCPD do because she's already figured out that Aiden is being bullied by Charlotte. And furthermore, Ryan is giving her plenty of reasons to be terrified. So Laura actually goes to Kevin seeking advice on what to do with Aiden and Charlotte, and he's just like, I'm not a child psychiatrist. And she's like, well, yeah, I know. I was hoping you could recommend a colleague for me. And he's like, well, I'll get Elizabeth to look into it for you. Just being so cold with Laura. And Laura is obviously frustrated at this point, and he savagely just decides to hand her divorce papers, and she is livid at this point. Who could blame her? And she's just like, you know what? I think you need to see a psychiatrist. And he loses his shit. He threatens Laura, and Laura looks at him like, did you just threaten me? And he kind of goes back into hiding like, oh, no, not at all, not at all. Don't mess with Laura, Ryan. This is a girl who has battled Cassidines and mobsters almost her entire life. You do not want to get on this girl's bad side. I am absolutely loving the fact that Laura is being shown as so strong right now. They're writing the character so good. And she is so suspicious on his behavior that she actually goes to Alexis, and I'm pretty sure she's going to try to get him committed. If that is the case, this storyline is going to be so much more interesting, and I am so here for it. I am already here for it, but I'm so here for Laura getting the better of Ryan without really knowing that he's Ryan yet. Alright, let's back up a little bit and talk about Aiden and Charlotte for a second, because neither parents of either children are getting anywhere with them. Rightfully so in Franco and Elizabeth's case. They're a bit distracted by Kiki's murder right now, and I have to give credit where credit is due, because if you guys watched GHMV last week, I was not thrilled with Roger's performance. I was really upset and thought it was really poor acting, but I have to say that Roger kind of redeemed himself this week because he had a talk with Cam in his art therapy studio where he was just saying sorry for your loss, and he's just trying to be a friend to Franco, and Roger actually did pull on my heartstrings. So you redeemed yourself, Roger. I tip my hat to you. Even though it's backwards, I'm just gonna do this. Good job. I'm proud. Good for proving me wrong. I also have to give it to the character of Cameron, because Cameron, who is usually a jerk towards Franco and a jerk towards Aiden, has been really nice this week. Did you guys notice that? He was nice to Franco, and he was extra nice to Aiden, just being a good supportive brother, and I like seeing that side of him. Of course, he still goes to Oscar and says that he hates him, which is, classic Cam, and rightfully so. So, I don't know, I just like this character, you guys. I'm really digging him. But yeah, seeing as Laura is the grandmother of both children, she heard Elizabeth talking about Aiden being bullied, and she heard Lulu talking about Charlotte bullying someone in school. So that's how she put two and two together. But anyway, now let's talk about Oscar. So Oscar is feeling pretty nauseous, which is to be expected at this point, but he's keeping his spirits up and having a really good sense of humor about it. But of course his mom is still scared, and Oscar is seeing the light and actually reconciles with his mom, which is really nice to see. And on top of that, he is still being realistic, so he gets Alexis hired again just to prepare a will just in case. And of course, he doesn't do this in front of his mom. He just does this on his own. He really gets her to go to Jason so that he can go after the Qs in case they make a big deal about his Quartermaine shares. So the kid is smart, I gotta hand it to him. I don't know how Kim's gonna feel about Oscar rehiring Alexis for his will nonetheless, but I do know that Alexis and Kim currently have at least one thing in common, the fact that they're not very fond of Daisy. Now, Kim and Drew actually saw Daisy in Oscar's room, like massaging his head, and she was just like, okay, but medicine is gonna be the best medicine, not your weird voodoo shit. And Alexis meets Daisy a little bit later when she's at Charlie's pub with Christina, and she gets bad vibes from her as well. So much so that she actually runs to Jason's table just to get away from her. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to Daisy, obviously she's running a cult. I feel like the audience figured that out already, but there's more to Daisy than meets the eye. Now let's put that on hold and talk about Sam's new story. I know it seems weird, but there's relevance here, so we'll get into that. So yes, Sam McCall has a brand new storyline all of her own. By the way, side note, J-Sam scenes earlier this week were super cute. She's being flirty with him, and they seem to be reconciling a little bit and maybe forming a relationship, but of course it's gonna be slow burn. It's gonna be slow burn. We have no choice. Alright, this isn't about my bitterness, this is about Sam's new story. So she gets a letter in the mail, and inside that letter is an obituary of one of her past ex-husbands. Now this is weird because there's no return address, and she is like, why is this coming back to haunt me? I used an alias. So for those of you that don't know, way back in 2007 we learned a lot about Sam's history and the fact that she used to run cons and marry these rich men and rob them blind just to support her and her brother Danny. Personally, I really like the story. I know a lot of people hated it because they felt that it ruined Sam's character, I guess. But for me personally, I kind of like seeing this sort of raw, badass Sam who didn't take no prisoners, you know? So anyway, the bottom line is she wants to cut the situation off of the knees because she buried this past a long time ago. And so she does some investigating with Curtis's help, although I don't know how helpful Curtis was because I feel like Sam did most of the work. Do you guys agree that Sam did most of the work? Anyway, she does some research and finds out that this clipping is from the hometown of that ex-husband of hers, but the subscription for this newspaper was somewhere in Port Charles, specifically at the health facility where Mike happens to be staying. Turns out this subscription is from Yvonne, who is actually Marcus's wife. That is Stella's ex-husband or ex-lover's wife. And even though it seems suspicious, she can't really question her that much because Yvonne too has Alzheimer's. That being said, she believes that this person is not responsible for sending that obituary in the mail and that whoever it is hiding behind Yvonne. And it turns out she's right because the person hiding behind Yvonne is Daisy. Y'all, Daisy is gunning for Sam. Like, who saw that coming? As shady as we already thought Daisy was for running this cult, this is way beyond what I expected, so I am so intrigued to see how this storyline pans out. I have to hand it to the writers. I did not see this one coming. Alright, last but not least, let's talk about Finn and Anna, because we have no choice. Finn basically decides to not go to Rome to see Hayden, so I guess we're not seeing Hayden anytime soon, which is very sad for me because I'm such a Hayden fan, so I'm pretty disappointed. Instead, he decides to go to Cuba to help Anna track down Dr. Obrecht, and they find themselves in a dance studio that suspiciously looks like the one that Anna and Andre danced in, and they basically repeat their scenes, but with Finn and Anna. I'm like, ugh, I cringed. Andre and Anna were so much better as a couple! Ah! Anyway, Dr. Obrecht shows up at the dance studio and they're like, yo, your daughter is sick and she needs your help, and they try to convince her to come back to Port Charles. But this is Dr. Obrecht, so she's not easily fooled. She's basically making sure that the blood that they show her is actually Brit and that they have the disease that she says that she has. I mean, they mixed it well enough that Dr. Obrecht wasn't suspicious, so that worked. However, she's like, okay, well, I'll conduct a cure here and you can bring it back to my daughter. So, of course, their hands are a little bit tied. They gotta figure out if they can somehow convince Dr. Obrecht to come back to Port Charles with them. Needless to say, we're gonna find out if she does so this week. So, I guess we'll see what happens. What did you guys think of General Hospital this week? Let me know in the comments below. Personally, I love Sam's new storyline and the fact that Daisy is actually a part of it because I was so genuinely surprised. So that made me happy. That was the saving grace of the week. But if you guys liked anything else, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and I will catch you guys next week.